hope lives always. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. We still don't know who the president is, and we probably won't for a while. And during times like this, I think it's important for us to revisit those moments in our life where hope emerges in the midst of uncertainty. I want to share one such story with you. It's a story I shared many years ago from the pulpit here at the church. There was a time in my life where I was at a crossroads. I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't feel like I could hear the voice of God in my life anymore. And so I sought out to find burning bushes, like Moses. I decided to live in silence in a monastery in Georgia after being recommended to do so by a mentor and friend. Now, I didn't know at the time that this monastery didn't really want people to stay there more than just a couple of days, and I had no idea why. But they were doing something really nice for me and allowing me to be there for an entire week. And so for a week, I lived in silence with these monks, knowing that they were going out of their way to allow me this spiritual pilgrimage at their monastery. And there was one day, maybe 3 days in, maybe 4 days in, when I went walking around the grounds, this vast expanse of land in Georgia, and I hear something rustling in the bushes. Now, I am from the woods. I grew up knowing which snakes are going to get you and which snakes to avoid. I grew up knowing what the sound of rustling in the woods means. And something pushed me to walk toward this sound instead of away from it. I think in the back of my head I was hoping that maybe around the bend would be this burning bush that I wanted, this hope that I longed for. And so, against all better judgment, I walked toward this rustling grass. Soon the rustling didn't just sound like grass, but there was this breathing that you could hear within it, in the grass. And still, against all of the training that I had as a young man growing up in the woods in Georgia, I continued to walk toward it. Finally, I spread the grass apart. It was tall, tall grass, to see what was there, hoping it wasn't a snake, but longing deep down that maybe it was some sign that God indeed was speaking in my life. And what I saw shocked me. It was a pile of 4 or 5 puppies, teeny tiny baby dogs, just nipping at each other's ears and falling over one another. And I was just on full bore cuteness overload looking at these puppies, and a little bit relieved that this wasn't a snake, and a little bit disappointed that it wasn't the burning bush that Moses saw. And then all at once I remembered where I was. I was at this monastery with these silent monks, these Catholics who were allowing a Protestant to stay there for a longer time than they let anyone stay there. And I looked at these puppies and realized that I had to do something about them, and I didn't know what to do. Part of me wondered if I should just leave them, because I didn't want to anger these monks. I had no idea what an angry monk would do, and so that ran through my mind. I couldn't. They were too cute. And so I led them back in a little line of puppies falling over each other back to the monastery. When I made sure that they were safe and just off to the side of the door, I walked in and found a monk who didn't speak. He just nodded at me. And I said, "Sir," I kind of choked on my words, "sorry to tell you this, but there's something outside that you need to see, something that I found on the grounds." And he walked out with me, and I just didn't know what he was going to do. And he looked down at these dogs, had his big robe on, kind of like mine. And all at once, this stoic, stone-faced old man fell to the ground and had these puppies climbing all over him and licking him in his face and trying to pull at his rosary beads. And he was just laughing and playing with these dogs. And then soon other monks joined in. And all at once I realized something. That I didn't need a burning bush in the traditional sense. That I saw something that day that was far more powerful. That in the midst of uncertainty and fear lied something beautiful. There's nothing that I think I've ever seen that comes in front of the joy of monks playing with puppies. And it's a sign to me that when we're not sure what's around the next bend, and part of us wants to look and part of us wants to run, that sometimes there's something beautiful, and it's not just for us. Because hope lives.